that's so my number one drum roll is the Friedman IRX Preamp. That's my number one, where we kind of keep moving in that, ampless pedalboard kind of realm.
Yep.
But to me, the Friedman IRX, first of all, it seems like everything that Dave Friedman does, and I repeat myself, everything that Dave Friedman does just, fucking rules. It's everything that he puts his hand on. If it's an amp, if it's a pedal, then he also made guitars at some point. All of that stuff,
that's right.
It just really rocks. It feels amazing. It sounds amazing because obviously this guy has lots of years of experience dealing with all that kind of equipment. But the IRX, in my opinion, is my number one, purely for the fact that it is super compact. It gets a huge amount of different tones out of it. The same company that was making the editor and the digital portion of the Soldano Astro 20 was also involved in the Friedman IRX. So there is an editor included that looks very, very similar to the Soldano editor. Okay. And it is super easy to maneuver. You also have a tube-based analog circuit in there, and then you have a digital side, which is obviously the IRs and all that kind of stuff. You can put in your own IRs as well. So all the feature set that Soldano comes with, but the form factor is amazing, and the sound is just I don't know what it is with Friedman amps and Friedman preamps. It's like the Marshall or the high power plexi that you always wanted, that you didn't know that you want. You might have never played a plexi or an original plexi in the first place, but then you play through one of his creations and you're like, whoa, that's what I've always wanted. And now I'm just playing it. So yeah, the Friedman IRX, and also what definitely proves my point is that the first wave was sold out within a day or two at all retailers. So the first 1 or 2 days,
wow, okay.
All the retailers worldwide that had like initial units, they sold them out. They were going away so fast, and
that's crazy.
It proves my point. And the price point, yeah, I mean, it's what is it, 600-ish euros, dollars, whatever. So yeah, it is a higher price point. But you'll get two full-fledged channels of plexi glory, all the 50 shades of plexi, if you want. So
I was wondering where you were going with the 50 shades there. I was like, buddy.
Yeah. All the 50 shades of plexi. And yeah, the Friedman BE is obviously like the prominent sound in there. It's the second channel, and you'll get MIDI functionality. You'll have USB to connect it to your computer and to do all the nitty gritty stuff. And it's just one of those products that definitely made my year playing with it and fiddling around with it here at home. And then I actually went out one day to play through a PA system because I wanted to know how it sounds. And buddy of mine has a smaller music store in my hometown. Went there, plugged it into a PA system, and I was like, yeah, you wouldn't even need an additional pedal. Just take this thing, 2 channels. If you don't need a shit ton of effects, then you're good to go. It's nothing more you need. So
yeah, it's kind of like you were saying, like the people that are more plug and play with the amp, like just a guitar and that could be exactly what they need if they want to get to a more small and compact type of rig. Yeah,
100%. So yeah, my number one, the Friedman IRX. Your turn.
And I'm going to say something. Yeah, I'm going to say something that just I think it's a damn shame that I've never ever gotten to try anything that is Friedman related ever. Like I've never tried their pedals or amps or anything. So I would like to try that unit at some point, or even like the pedals.
Send it over
apparently
I'm going to send it over to you. I want you to.
Okay.
I want you to try it.
Yeah, because I've heard so much good about it, and if I'm not mistaken, I think Dave Friedman worked with Eddie Van Halen at some point.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he was like taking care of his rig or stuff like that, but every time I've heard of Friedman, I was like, there's some Van Halen in there somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's intentional on his part, but every time you hear like the old Van Halen stuff, like it's girthy, it doesn't sound thin. There's something really like magical about the sound he was getting back in the 70s.
Yeah.
And then when I heard Friedman, of course, I've heard like only recordings, but I was like, it's in that vicinity of that Van Halen Brown sound kind of thing. It doesn't sound thin or raspy or anything. It's like, it's got balls.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, Dave Friedman just has so much experience with all of this stuff because he has worked for so long. I mean, at some point, do you remember Buddha amplification? Or Buddha, or
I think, yeah, Buddha, yeah, I remember them. Yeah,
he briefly worked there. That was like in the early 90s or something. He started out like most guys that like modifying Marshalls, you know, because in the 80s and 90s, a lot of people liked the Marshall sound, but the feature set was like pretty basic. So a lot of these guys, also like Peter Diesel, Reinhold Bogner, all these guys, they started out modifying Marshalls, and from there on, they started making their own designs. I remember a story where someone established a contact between Dave Friedman and Bruce Agneter of Agneter Amplification. They worked together on creating a preamp, which became like super popular with like studio musicians in Los Angeles. And Agneter kind of became Friedman's, you could say mentor in a way, you know, because Agneter is around a lot longer than Dave Friedman was at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And then, well, slowly, like Friedman, he gained like a lot of fans. One of them was Eddie Van Halen. So that's why he worked with Eddie Van Halen on his rig and modifying amps or repairing amps. But he also worked with Steve Stevens. He worked with, I think, also with Billy Howardale from Perfect Circle. Jerry Cantrell. Jerry Cantrell has a signature amp with Friedman. So, and at some point, I think 2007, 2008 was the first time that people saw the first products, the first like real Friedman products. So it's just one of these guys, you know.